Alright, this is another one of our rental units. We're going to gel stain these kitchen cabinets also. Also, we're going to do a Java gel stain, with the Java color I should say. And I'm going to show you guys how to sand them with these stripping pads right here. Where are these? 3M moderate stripping pads, medium coarseness. So you can pick. Actually, I got these at Lowe's. I couldn't find them at Home Depot. So, and then these are the finish ones. They're, you can right here it says in between coats, finishing pads, and they're a little finer, but you won't need these until after you start gel staining. But what works best, we've noticed, is on the flat surfaces. Just get one of these pads here, like my wife did, and set it down, and then get one of these palm sanders, and then just rest it on top like that, and then turn it on. And that's all you need to do. Now you could also do this by hand, but all you need to do is take the shine off, and you don't want to bring it down to the bare wood. Just take the shine off. This will give the gel stain something to adhere to better, because if it's really shiny, the gel stain will have a little problem adhering. It'll still stick, but not as well. Yeah. And then in here where you got contours, stuff like that, you just, like she's doing there, just bunch it up and put it right in there and just sand it. And like I said, you just want to take the shine off of it, and that's it. Now when you're doing the cabinets here, you can use a palm sander again for this. I already did these, but like I said, you're just taking the shine off. Now, on here, this isn't, like I said before in the other videos, it's not real wood, it's that press board with that laminate paper stuff on here. After you clean it real good, get your stripping pad and just lightly go over it. It'll still take the shine off of it if it's got any shine. Even the molding here, there's a strip of molding, you want to take the shine off of it. Because if it's too shiny, the gel stain doesn't stick as well. And even this molding here, this isn't even real wood. But again, just give it a, just scrub it like this a little bit and get just to get the shine off. That's all you need to do. Just don't use sandpaper on this, because this is paper and you'll actually gouge it and scratch it, and the gel stain won't cover that. Alright, we'll just put on our first coat on the cabinets, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, because I've been getting a lot of questions that people are concerned that they're getting lines on the first coat, and you're going to get that on your first coat. I'll show you over here. Now I'm using one of those Purdy XL brushes, but this is an old brush that I had that I even painted with before. So we start doing the back of the cabinets. And now you can see when I stroke the brush, you're going to see lines, these lines here. That's the old finish underneath coming through. And as I said in my first video, don't worry about that. That'll all get covered up on the second coat. There's all kinds of lines on your first coat. Now this stuff is not quite transparent, but your first coat it's gonna be a little transparent. Some people use that wipe technique, and that's fine. If you want to change your cabinets a little bit darker, you can just get a rag and just wipe it, and it'll be a little darker than this. But then if you want it darker, you know, you put a second coat and you do the same thing. The method I like using, you just basically paint it on, and I like it much better. This stuff is it's nice because it's self-leveling. Now what that means is when you brush like this, you're going to see all these kind of lines from the brush. Well, once that dries, that goes completely flat. And it looks much, much nicer. And always go with the grain of the wood. Right now we're just doing one side first, and then tomorrow we're going to flip them and do the other side, and that'll still be our first coat. You want 2 coats of this. Unless you're using that wiping technique and you do it once and you wipe it and you like how it come out, and that's fine. But to cover these cabinets up, or any cabinet for that matter, you need 2 coats. And this stuff covers really nice because I stained gel stained white, pure white cabinets with 2 coats perfectly. So right now you just want to cover it, give it 1 coat. Don't worry about the lines. Just make sure everything is in the direction of the wood grain and everything looks consistent, not lines here and no lines here. And that's pretty much done. And you can see there's lines here. Brush lines. And you can see the finish underneath. But like I said, don't worry about that. That'll all go away. That's it. That's the first coat. Finished the first coat on the back side yesterday. Now it's dry. And if you look over here, you can still see lines. And if you get this, don't panic. Don't worry about it. This is normal. These brush lines, which you're actually seeing in this line here, is the old finish underneath. Don't worry about that. Once you put your second coat on, that will completely disappear. So now we're going to do the front side. So let me flip it over. And a good idea is you can either get those painter pyramids, or we had this foam stuff at home. Just cut 4 little pieces, and that will protect the finish you're doing. And you can rest it on there, and it's not touching your cloth. And don't put it on too thick thinking you have to cover it all up. That's not what you want to do. Like I said, you're going to see those lines and the old finish coming through, and that's about what you want in your first coat. But just make sure it's even. And I'll have this one done in a second. Pour on all the edges. Now in this particular door, the two pieces are cut on a 45-degree angle here, so when you're ready to, when you think you're just about done, just clean that up a little bit like that. Make sure everything runs parallel with the grains, the wood grain. And I think this is done. First coat. Okay, if you see, you're going to see lines here. Again, don't worry about this. This is just your first coat. Even though you can see the finish underneath, the gel stain is still coating the wood. So your second coat will completely cover it. Like I said earlier, I painted completely white, pure white cabinets with this gel stain in 2 coats, and it was wonderful. As you're doing them, what we're doing is we're laying them down on the floor here. Just get yourself a drop cloth, or we're using this paper plastic kind of cloth you can pick up at any of the home improvement stores, and just lay them out. This is just a first coat on all these here. We got the second side to do, or the first side to do on there, on these yet. This morning when we came here, after putting the first coat, this is the first coat here, is dry. We had rested these on this is a paper drop cloth, paper plastic underneath. But anyways, it absorbed. This here is plastic, and when we flipped them over, some areas like here, it's just blotched on over here. It's too thick. So in that situation, all you got to do is get your stripping pads. Like this area here. Just get those 3M stripping pads, a medium coarseness, and just smooth it out. You don't have to take it off, of course. Just if it looks too thick. See, like right here, if it comes on too thick, it almost want to crack. And here too. And that's all you need to do. Just get the part that's, these are fingerprints. And that's good enough. That's it. Alright, after your first coat has dried, I usually wait till the next day. You want to get your finishing pads. I couldn't find the 000s, but this is these are finishing pads also by 3M. So all you want to do is just go over it a little bit like this. You don't want to take it off. You just want to lightly scuff it up. And that's it. That's all you need to do. You'll start seeing whatever shine that it does have kind of get smudged with little fine lines. That's all you need to do on the flat surfaces only, really. And of course, go with the grain that's there. Just it makes the second coat stick better, that's all. And honestly, if you didn't do it, it probably wouldn't hurt it much. But why take a chance? And on the side here, the same thing, just a light scuffing. In the top here, I wouldn't even worry about that because nobody's going to be touching that up there. That's all you need to do.
Can we just leave it like this then? For now? Or close it?
Alright, after you've fine sanded it a little bit like this, what you want to do is get yourself a clean rag and just wipe off the excess dust. See what's coming off on there. Okay, it's already coming off on the rag. That's all you need to do in between coats. Yeah. And then now we're ready for the second coat. It's a good idea when you open up a new one, or if you haven't used it in a while, is to stir it. Now it's going to look like chocolate pudding, just don't eat it. And just give it a stir, kind of dig at the bottom and pull it up. Just so everything's mixed. And that should be it. Alright, we have our second coat of gel stain on our cabinets now, and I'm ready to lightly scuff with the finish pad here. The finish, now remember, we haven't polyurethane this yet. There's only 2 coats of gel stain. Every coat of gel stain you put on, you have to use this fine scuffing pad to scuff it up a little bit. Now you have to be careful because this comes off very easily since it doesn't have poly on it to protect it. So the only thing I'm doing here, you can see it, there's a little bit of shine. It's not really a shine, it's, I don't know what you would call it, but you can see it, right? So all we're doing is just doing this. Doesn't seem like much. And that's it. You can't even see it on the camera, but I can see it by eye. It's very lightly scuffed. Now you got to be careful of the corner here, because if you push on the corner and sand, you will take this gel stain right off, and you'll see the old finish again. So just do the flat areas like this, and the insides just a little bit. Be careful of the corners. And always go with the grain. That's all you need to do. It doesn't seem like much, but the polyurethane, the polyurethane will adhere better. It would stick better. And you just do that with all the flat surfaces. Up in here, I wouldn't worry about that too much. No one ever touches that. So you're just concerned about the areas that are more prone to being touched and over the years, especially the doors. And that's all you need to do. And you just do that to for the rest of the cabinet. On the side here, just lay it flat like this. And just go up and down. That's all you need to do. And do that to the rest of the cabinets. And the door here, my wife is doing the doors.
And this is the before second coat.
This is only a first coat here. So we're getting ready for the second coat on the doors. We did the backs first, then we did the fronts. And I think we're going to start with the front again. And the last coat will be for the back. That way we can make sure the fronts are really nice. And again, just if you can see like this here, where you can see the old finish come through on your first coat, don't worry about it. Your second coat will cover that real good. Even though it's showing through, you still have gel stain on there, a thin coat. Okay, and I'll show you when we're ready to start polyurethaning. Alright, I just got done scuffing up the gel stain with the finish pad. After you do that, after any time you scuff it, you gotta wipe it down, get a clean rag, and just wipe it down. And you see that? It's that really fine dust. And then once you're done wiping it all down, then we're ready for the gel stain. I'm sorry, the polyurethane. Alright, when you open your polyurethane, you're going to have to mix it. I'm using a satin, and they put some stuff in there to make it a satiny. It's at the bottom, okay? I don't know what you call it, but you need to stir that stuff up. You'll feel it on the bottom. Just keep stirring it until it feels like everything's nice and mixed at the bottom and mixed in with the polyurethane. And that's what I was doing earlier. So this is already mixed. And then get yourself any kind of rag or a sock or something. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Anyway. And just soak it in there. And just start wiping. And you're going to be putting on a very thin coat this way. If you use a brush, it's going to start dripping and having runs and all that stuff, and you don't want that. Unless you're, I don't know, you're really good at it. I'm not. I'd rather do it this way. You get a nice thin coat. It dries very quickly. And you don't get bubbles. When you're using a brush, there's a good chance you're getting bubbles and stuff. And you got, I don't know, roughly 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes to work with this stuff. It's fast drying. That's the type I like to use. That way, within a few hours, I don't know what it is, you have to read the can, but you can put your second coat on. Anyways, just keep doing that. Now after, I don't know, every once in a while you're going to have to mix this again. Because the stuff they use there to make it satin settles to the bottom. So just mix it. Don't shake the can because you'll get bubbles and you don't want that. Just mix it up a little bit. You're good to go. And when you're doing the doors, you do the same way. Just find yourself an old sock or a nice rag and just do the doors. Alright, I've been asked this question a lot. How do you clean the brushes? Here I got them soaking in either, it's paint thinner, but you can use mineral spirits, same thing basically. Let them soak overnight or just for a few hours, whatever you want to do. And what I do to shake the excess off, I go outside, go in an area in your backyard where you're not too concerned about. And just shake them off. And then just get the excess and wipe it off like this. You just don't want it wet, really wet. A little's fine, ain't gonna hurt nothing. See that? Now they're all ready to go. And now you're ready to start gel staining. We got 2 coats of gel stain on here, and we're gonna lightly scuff it with the finishing pads. And we're just about ready to, after that we'll be ready to polyurethane them. So what we're doing here is just lightly sanding it and just getting rid of whatever sheen or shine, whatever it's got, but lightly. You don't need much pressure. And again, watch out for the corners here. You don't want to, you know, hit the corners. Just hit the flat spots. That's all you're really concerned about. Yeah, you might be able to see that on the camera. It's taking a little bit of that shine off. And that's it. And then the inside, you shouldn't have to worry about this too much, because it's usually, a lot of them are pretty rough to begin with, but a little bit is good. And then flip it over. I think I did this side already, but just go over it real lightly. Now inside here where all the contours are and all that, don't worry about that, because if you start going in there now, you'll end up taking the gel stain off. And then just hit the flat spots. Now what I do, it's kind of hard to do this with one hand, but do the top here too. What do you have? Okay, I just go over it like that. And just do that to all the sides. Flip it again. Now in here, if you got something like this on your cabinets, you can go in there with this if you want. Just be careful. Here, just lay it down. Just be real careful when you do it, because this does have a corner. And if you do take a little bit off the corner, just touch it up with a little bit of gel stain and let it dry. Like I just noticed here, it's just a little bit coming off. I might just leave it, but you could just dab a little bit of gel stain on there. Let it dry for a couple hours, and then you can poly right over that. It's not going to hurt nothing. Okay. All right. What we decided to do before we start polyurethaning, we were thinking it's so hard to handle to do one side, to lay it down, and you could make a mess. So what we decided to do is just polyurethane around. Let me get one of these. This is a drawer front here. We decided to take it off and do it. Now, since we want this side to be really nice, what we decided to do is polyurethane just one side, like this. And careful not to get it too thick so it drips. Okay, that's good enough. Now, this is the inside of the drawer. It's not going to get touched that much. So, just one coat here. And then here, what we decided to do too is just do around where the hinges go, the hardware. And then when this dries, then you put your hardware on. Alright? Well, that one fits a little tight. Put your hardware on, right? And this would be dry already. Then mount them on the cabinets, and then finish off everything to where it looks nice. That way you don't have to worry about getting the poly all over the hardware and all that. So we're going to try that. Alright, what we did is we polyurethaned just this area right here. And a little bit on the side here. And what we're going to do now is mount our hardware on. So now I can mount the cabinet and polyurethane it. Polyurethaning the doors. We just did the inside where the hinges are a little bit yesterday, and we put the hardware on and we mounted them. This way we thought it would be easier to polyurethane them and keep them from getting messed up, basically, as long as they're hanging. So open your poly and you want to stir it up. Get inside the grooves. Don't forget the top. I guess the area you want to do last is right here where you're hanging on to. just make sure nothing's dripping. It's basically the same thing as when you're doing the sides here or anywhere else. But here you got a little more grooves and contours and things. And just do the same thing on the inside. Just make sure there's nothing, no areas where it's on too thick. And that's good enough. We just put our first coat of polyurethane on here. Now we're getting ready for our second coat. So what you do is you get your finish pad, scuffing pad, and you just go along the whole area like this. And just get, like I said before, just to get the shine off a little bit. Now since we got polyurethane on here, you can push a little harder. You don't have to worry about it coming off. Now, it's going to look like you're not doing much, but you are. You put little micro scratches in there, and that'll help the polyurethane stick better, adhere better. And then here, I wouldn't worry about it too much, the inside. You could just hit it a little bit like this. Now that you got the polyurethane in there. Otherwise, the gel stain would come right off. Just like that. 1 or 2 times and you're done. And of course, anywhere where there's contours, just a little bit. The very bottom. All along the edge. Top and the sides and the back, you know, you do the same thing. Okay. We just got done with the cabinets, the last coat of polyurethane, and they come out pretty good. I just put the original hardware on everything. Ended up using, for this size kitchen here you see, and 2 bathroom vanities. I did one downstairs and one upstairs. Ended up using almost a can of polyurethane and about a can and a half of the Java gel stain. And these are 1 quart cans or 946 milliliters. So that's it. They come out pretty good. You can still see the wood grain. It looks nice. And it's much better than the old color that was on it before. Alright guys, let me know what you think.